Hello, Robby. It's so nice to have you on the show today. How are you doing?
Doing great. Thank you, Elisha.
Beautiful, and thank you so very much for being here, my man. You see, I truly appreciate you. And you see, Robby, oftentimes I love to thank my guests for two things. And I do this so often to the point where it has become my anthem. So, firstly, my man, I want to say thank you so very much for investing in yourself. You see, Robbie, you are on this platform right now because you did invested in yourself. And oftentimes, my man, I love to make reference to the amazing mango tree. You see, Robbie, some couple of months back, I was on a particular road, and just by the roadside, Robbie, there was this very tall, unattractive mango tree. And I use the word unattractive because the mango tree's got no mangoes on it and the leaves were all dry. So I just walked past it and I went my way. But you see, my man, just recently I was on that same road. And this time around, a lot's changed about the mango tree, you see. The mango tree caught my attention pretty good from a distance. And immediately I got the urge to move so close to it, of which I did. And it wowed me. Because now the mango tree's got a lot of mangoes on it, beautiful green leaves and healthy branches. And not just mangoes now, Robbie, I'm talking about ripe mangoes. It was such a lovely experience that day, and I was so, so excited. Here is my point. The fact that you dedicated your time, energy, and resources to becoming the amazing Robbie that you are today, that alone has made it impossible for me to skip you. And that's why you got the request from me to be on the show because I was attracted to you, the fruit of all that you're doing, your philosophies, your insight, the impact your work is having, and how you are offering your solutions, my man. This stuff's so beautiful. And just before I sent you that request, I said to myself, I've got to benefit from these beautiful things Robbie is doing. And not only me now, because, I don't want to look selfish and even with the audience. And here we had a day with the amazing Robbie. So thank you so very much for doing that to yourself. And secondly, thank you for saying yes to the invite. Because if you had said nope, there was nothing Elisha could do about it. Thanks so much, my man.
Mhm. You're very welcome. I'm pleased to be here.
Beautiful. So let's get started. You see, I am quite excited to have you on the show today, Robbie, for some reasons. Firstly, my interest in knowledge seeking. I believe in order for one to transition from a terrible situation to that of a beautiful one, Ruby, I believe it takes the application of knowledge. Not just knowledge alone, but the application of it. And you see, my man, ever since I discovered that light in the Hebrew means knowledge and darkness, ignorance, I've been so keen to knowledge seeking. Why? Because I do not want to remain in the dark. So that's going to make our conversation today very important to me and even to the listeners. And the second reason why I'm excited to have the incredible Robbie on the show is for the sake of the audience. See, my man, we live in an age where information is as abundant as grains of sand. We've got lots of information flying out there. So these folks trust me for quality, opening, and very important information, of which I am totally convinced, my man, that our conversation is going to be insightful and impactful. So, for that reason, Robbie, let's get started with your introduction. Talk to us about your personal or your professional journey, because right now we are so curious. We want to know how Robbie got here. Then afterwards, I've gotten some beautiful questions for you. Okay, Robbie, my man, over to you.
Yeah, well, I'll start briefly with personal. I'm a father of two children. I have a 15-year-old boy and a 12-year-old girl. They are the center of my world and the reason for everything that I do in life. Professionally, I've had, much like the mango tree, I've had a journey of starting in places that were not particularly fulfilling for me, and fruitful in some ways, but not so much in other ways. I've worked in corporate America for 20 years, and throughout that time, I've worked in companies that and industries that were high performing and were places where there was opportunity for promotion and more money and things of that nature. But I found oftentimes that the more I succeeded in those environments, the more empty I felt inside. And over the course of 20 years, I came to the insight that uh, it was largely a misalignment between the way that corporate America is typically run today and the way that I orient myself internally, my personal values, the way that I think about leadership, etc. And I'm pleased to say that today I'm CEO of a company, and the tree is beautiful.
Amazing.
Fruit is blossoming. I've been in my role for almost a year now, and I've been given the opportunity and the autonomy to lead in the way that I think is best. And the fruit is blossoming. We're
Amazing.
producing incredible results as an organization. We're doing so in alignment with the ways that I think about leadership and the ways that I think about not only building a company but building people. And we're getting financial results that are, uh, frankly, defying logic. And in the process, I'm getting feedback from my team that the way that we're leading is changing their lives, not just at work but also at home. And that's the message I have for the world: is that there is a way of leading in business, in nonprofits, in governments, that can not only deliver outstanding results by the measures that those organizations find important, but can also deliver outstanding results for individuals within those organizations and the people in their lives.
Amazing. And I love that. You know, the fact that you understood what was going on and you said you were feeling empty. And you just touched on something very important, which is alignment is much more important than trying to survive. You know, you said the morning will come in, but you were still feeling empty. And that's a very important message. So that's going to lead to this very question. And are you ready for me?
Let's go.
All right. So, why does a leader's inner state matter? Got it?
Yeah, no, it's a great question, and that's really at the center of my work. It's something I've come to understand over the course of my career, and I've got a book coming out shortly where I will talk about this specifically. But most management philosophy books talk about the things that you do as a leader. They give you checklists of things that you should do. They give you playbooks. They say do X, Y, and Z, and you will get results A, B, and C. The model that I've come to really believe in, and that I articulate in the book that I'm releasing here in the next few months, is not so much about doing; it's about being. And the argument that I make is that strategy and operations and processes and systems, these things are all important for the success of a business, but they are secondary to the internal state and the external expression of that internal state of the leader itself. And something that I've come to understand through my career, experiencing this with leaders that I've been working under, and now in my most recent role, where I am the leader, and I can see how the environment around me is shaped. I've come to believe firmly that the internal state of the leader sets the tone for the internal state of the organization. And anyone that's worked for a company knows this. When a leader walks into the room and they are angry or anxious or operating from a place of fear, that sets the tone for the room. Everyone in the room is on edge. They're walking on eggshells. They're careful about what they say. They may be performing rather than showing up authentically and showing up courageously to speak the truth that they believe. And conversely, when a leader walks in and is centered in themselves, is calm, is steady in the way that they lead and steady in the way that they present themselves, the temperature of the room adjusts to that, just as it will when things uh, are the opposite. So, I have a firm belief that the way that the leader walks into the room has an impact on the way that people show up and the way that they participate in that room. And I think it applies more broadly, that it's not just walking into a specific room. Every single action of a leader, every word they use, the way that they use those words, the way that they send emails, the words they choose for emails, these things set the tone for an organization. And I have this belief that when you think about it in terms of, we all have a nervous system, and this regulates the way that we feel. And our nervous system can make us feel anxious. Our nervous system can make us feel excited. There's a whole range of things that can be dictated, feelings that can be dictated by our nervous system. And I have this firm belief through my experiences and my own leadership that the state of the leader's nervous system has a direct impact on the state of the nervous systems of the individuals around them, and more broadly, the nervous system of the organization itself. And so if a leader can show up as calm, as steady, and reliable in showing up that way, then it gives people the psychological safety to show up as their full, authentic selves, gives them permission to be courageous in the ways that they speak and the ways that they behave.
Hmm. Wow. It's as though I am in a leadership conference. I tell you, you're just so good at what you do, man. That's so true. And thank you for saying that, because it is very important. So, what about this one? What does leading with love really mean?
Yeah, thank you for that question. Well, first, I
Yeah.
want to set the table. So, the dominant paradigm in business and, frankly, government and even churches and nonprofits, um, in many, if not most cases, is leading from a place of fear in service to greed. And leaders will behave in a way, they are responding to fear. Perhaps it's fear of failure. It's fear of looking bad in front of their board. It's fear of losing their own job. And that fear, to our prior comment or discussion, translates into the way that they show up in the workplace. And that translates into fear within the organization. And so leaders that operate from a place of fear will oftentimes use fear as the primary lever to pull when trying to accomplish their objectives within the business. And so they use fear to control people. They use fear to get the behaviors they want from people. And in business, more often than not, that is in service to greed, delivering more money to shareholders, generating wealth for the leader themselves. And I've heard these words spoken explicitly by leaders. One particular CEO that I was exposed to asked his leadership team, what motivates your people more, fear or greed? And in that moment, I was absolutely floored. Is there not another option? And I have developed a theory. I've only recently given words to it, but my theory is that there is a third option, and that option is love. That when we lead from a place of love, we can not only get results that defy logic, but we can change lives for the better in the process. And I have aspired to leadership at the highest levels for my entire career for the primary purpose of wanting to be a beacon of hope, a different way of leading, a leader who creates an environment where people go home feeling more excited and more fulfilled and more
Yeah.
built up than they were before they came into the office. So that's the origin of my belief in leading with love. What does that actually mean? Um, so to me, there are two sides of love. There's a side that we often think of, which is nurturing. It is supportive. It is giving people the knowledge and the psychological safety that they need to show up authentically and to show up without fear. And then there's the other side of love, which is oftentimes referred to as tough love. And I believe in business and frankly in our personal lives, we need to have a balanced kind of love. So love is not just sentimental. It's not just the touchy-feely good things. It's also having the courage to have hard conversations. And I think, there's a sentence that I really gravitate towards, which is love without truth is not really love. And so it's important when we talk about leading with love that we not only talk about creating a safe space for people to show up authentically, but we also talk about setting standards and holding people accountable to meeting those standards. And sometimes the most loving thing you can do for the individual you're working with and the organization that you're both a part of is to have a really difficult conversation and perhaps even to part ways with that individual. Because oftentimes, if they're not aligned with the vision, if they're not aligned with the strategy, if they're not aligned with the culture that you're building as a leader, the most loving thing you can do is part ways with them because it's not good for either of you to be in that situation, and it's not loving because if they don't fit, it's not good for either party. And so my argument is that there is a third option to managing by fear in service to greed, and that is love. And what I've seen in my own company that I've been leading for almost a year now is that leading from love can provide, as I mentioned earlier, results, potential for performance that truly defies logic. And anyone that has children or multiple children, and this doesn't just apply to those folks, anyone that has anyone that they love in their lives knows that love is an infinite resource. You don't divide love amongst the people that you love. It just multiplies. So the more people you love, the greater the opportunity is, the greater the pie is for offering love. And what I've seen in my own business is that when you take this infinite resource of love and apply it to business, you can produce infinite results, be that creativity, be that innovation, growth, and even profits. And so I think a lot of people will hear this message of love and leadership and think that it's soft and think that it's just a sentimental statement. I have actual results from the business that I'm leading that there is substantial upside to revenue, substantial upside to profits by leading through love, because you unlock the intrinsic possibilities and the intrinsic value of every employee when they're safe enough to show up as their full selves, to raise opportunities, to raise challenges and concerns. And we're seeing that in my business where it's a company that was struggling when I arrived, had not grown sales in 5 years. And in the most recent quarter that we completed, we averaged 20% sales growth versus last year. And that was from a place of zero sales growth for the last 5 years. And that's with no new products, no new services, no new marketing campaigns, no new sales tactics, simply a new kind of leadership. And on top of that, I'm having people come to me, middle managers and upper level managers and individual contributors across the board, saying that you're not only transforming a company, you're changing my life. You're changing the way I show up with my family. You're changing the way that I mother, all of the above. And it's been such a profound experience for me and the people in my company that I feel like it's a message that the world needs to hear.
Oh, amazing, Robbie. You see, you're spitting out some ancient wisdom. I tell you, these stuffs are
Yeah.
beautiful. Love without truth in it isn't really love. The greatest expression of love is to tell them the truth, having that difficult conversation. I tell you, that's profound. So to bring this one in, my man, I want us to talk briefly about the book. I think you mentioned that it is upcoming. So what inspired the book?
Yeah. Well, really, so I didn't start out thinking that I would write a book. I experienced uh, both successes and failures throughout my career. And what really inspired the book was the work that I've done with the company I'm with now. When I always aspired to be a CEO, I have for the last 2 decades. And now that I've been given the opportunity to take that role and the autonomy to lead a company in the way that I believe it should be led, I'm seeing the actual results of the philosophy that I've developed over 2 decades of I've worked directly for CEOs, presidents, general managers of Fortune 500 companies, of private equity owned companies. I even started my own business as an entrepreneur. And so I've seen really every aspect of business, and I've seen what works and what doesn't work. And I've been given the opportunity to apply those lessons to my own leadership in my current role. And the financial results were compelling, but not worthy of a book, because a lot of people can get strong financial results. What inspired me to write the book was the human impact, and seeing that not only can we produce incredible financial results, but we can change lives in the process. And so my message for leaders, I'm a capitalist. I believe strongly in capitalism and the power of capitalism. Um, and I believe that people, it's fine to make a lot of money. I like to make money. And I think a lot of people believe that the way to make a lot of money is to do it the way that it's always been done, which is frankly through fear and greed. And my message in the book, and the message I want to convey to your listeners is that if you like planes and boats and cars and houses, you can have all of those things. In fact, you can have more of them by leading through love, because the results you can get far outweigh the results you can get through the traditional means. But in the process, you will also develop a following of employees that not only perform well for you, but also love you and will be grateful for your leadership. And it was that inspiration from 20 years of not experiencing that myself, and now a year of leading with that philosophy and seeing the results, that led me to write the book. And it's been an amazing process. I've worked very hard. It's been a few months that I've been working on the book. And I partnered with a ghostwriter who has helped me to assemble my thoughts and get it all together while I'm also running a company. So it's been a fun process. I'm very excited. It's my first book as a leader. It won't be my
Wow.
last. In fact, I've got a book planned. But it's been a phenomenal experience, and it's been a great experience in understanding myself better, understanding my leadership philosophy better, and really refining for me into words what it is that I believe in a way that helps me actually live that better because I have articulated it in words. And so it's not only been an interesting process from just getting a book pulled together, but it's been an incredibly fulfilling process and beneficial process to helping me show up as a leader in exactly the ways that I espouse in the book, which are the ways that I believe that we should lead.
Beautiful. That sounds like a powerful and very effective book. Beautiful. And I'm going to take that as a final thought. So for folks who would like to reach out to you, Robbie, learn more about the wonderful stuff you're doing, make a purchase of your book once it's out, or even ask you questions. How can that be possible?
Yeah, the best way to reach me today is you can find me on LinkedIn. I will be posting about my leadership philosophy. I will be posting in the next few weeks and months about the release of the books. And you can find me on LinkedIn by searching for Robby Humble. That's ROBBY HUMBLE. So you go to LinkedIn, search for Robby Humble. You'll be able to find me. I accept, at this point, I'm accepting essentially all connections that come my way because I'm looking to build an audience so that I can spread this message. So if you find me on LinkedIn, Robby Humble, reach out, follow me, connect with me, and you'll be able to stay updated on the developments of the books, and you'll be able to follow along as I release information and content about how I believe leadership should be conducted.
Amazing. So that's going to be the end of the show, my man. Thank you for coming and thank you for sharing this wonderful stuff with us. It means a whole lot, Robbie. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Elisha. I appreciate the opportunity.